This movie is a horror movie with pandemic world setting. It tells a story about a scientist and park scout who venture deep in the forest as the world searches for a cure to a disastrous virus. This messy woodland thriller cannot sustain itself beyond the opening moments, becoming a jumbled mass of random images by its thankful conclusion. It is unpleasant to suffer. This disorienting bloody story about killer plants and a psycho in the woods is more like an experimental film than an enjoyable horror and sci-fi flick. The story hits a brick wall when it starts to blur myth with science and the characters search for the key to communicate with nature. It gets ridiculous and silly, and it's not even a good story to begin with. Not only does the film not cross the finish line, it doesn't even come close. The end result is an incoherent mess. All that lingers here is the sinister imagery. Unfortunately, it's not enough. The movie's insistence on diving headfirst into nonsensical plotting and characterizations makes it tiresome and disappointing. There are no new insights into pandemic mania, and despite strong performances from 4 well-cast actors, some sharp humor, and a few go-for-broke moments that engage, the majority of this movie is an utter slog. The initial dynamic between characters were disturbed by adding a mysterious scientist into the mix and coming up with all sorts of weird red herrings and psychedelic mumbo-jumbo that takes away from the survival horror aspect. As the film descends into visual chaos, any sense of what is truly at stake is lost, and the characters are too thinly drawn to provide much of a lifeline. Compelling ideas eventually are getting buried by the muddled plotting, boring characters, and copious bloodletting that no amount of wild strobe lighting effects and bizarre camera angles can quite disguise. The ear-shattering sound design is uncomfortable, and strobe lighting effects are so overused. By the time this movie reaches its close, only the fate of Alma intrigues. It's hard to care about the rest of the cast, not to mention the story. Other than the undeniably strange and compelling score from Clint Mansell, this is total waste of time and energy for all involved. We do not recommend this movie at all.